He's someone who's carefree, irreverent, extremely careless also sometimes, but he is what he is, and people love him for that.
He's always interested in having fun. He's not, oh, let me make this video very beautiful or make it very interesting. That guy himself is very interesting.
Thumbnails are very basic. Nothing. It's just a screen grab from the video.
The content you create when you're being authentic is timeless. And people inherently like authentic content.
His videos are extremely lo-fi. There is no montage. There is no fancy edit. There's not too much of music. It's just the man, the camera, the settings, and just him on his journey.
He doesn't care. I love that fact. He was making fun of people. He was showing everything that is there in India, not just the rosy stuff. And I think the first video I watched was on Facebook. There were hateful comments like, this guy is a piece of work. He's not showing the real India. But that is real India. He talked about Indian police women. That was poetry, man. Depends the way you look at it. It was very well written. I don't disagree with the protest against that video or discomfort around that video, but I like it.
Okay, imagine this. I tell you the words travel YouTuber, right? A YouTuber who travels or somebody who makes travel content. I think you have a certain image in your head. This person travels, is very happy with the place, goes to, the steadfast places, goes to places which are normal, makes, 15-minute videos, gives some tips and tricks, and is overall very genial, very cordial, extremely nice. But then I want to tell you three more words: bald and bankrupt. Because these three words essentially break the shackles of what a travel YouTuber can be. He's someone who's carefree, irreverent, extremely careless also sometimes, but he is what he is, and people love him for that. I'm obviously talking about Mr. Benjamin Rich or Bald and Bankrupt for this episode of Creator Deep Dive, a weekly show by Thousand Faces Club. But before we talk too much about Mr. Bald, Mr. Tiwari, how are you doing? Hi, Shubham. How's it going?
Hi, hello, Daily Boulders. How are you doing?
Daily Balders. Okay.
Today,
We're-
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I was
We're,
trying, filter as well, where I could, present myself as a bald fan of
as a
Benjamin
bald.
Rich.
I think a great way of doing that, Shubham, is to actually shave your head. So that I think is true fandom
Oh,
where you actually sort of go and because see, honestly, Shubham, this man deserves every bit of our praise and every bit of our fandom, because I think what he's pulled off with his channel is something unique. Is something that I
yeah,
haven't seen too many people do. And I am honestly on Creator Deep Dive. Sometimes it does happen that we're discovering creators for the first time, or they've been around for a few weeks, but we've just discovered them. But when it comes to Bald, I've actually been a very huge fan. Like, I genuinely
yeah.
love the man, love his content. What are your first thoughts about him, and tell me how you discovered him?
Well, when I watched his content, when I watched his video, of course, it was, somewhere in India. He was in Banaras or Jaipur, I don't know. What I liked about him was he was absolutely irreverent. He
Yeah,
was not pandering to the let's say India YouTube, which is going to approve of his
yeah.
appreciation of this culture,
I love that
unlike
India
other
YouTube. Yeah,
people. So he doesn't care. I love that fact. He was making fun of people. He was showing everything that is there in India, not just the rosy stuff. And I think the first video I watched was on Facebook,
hmm,
and there were hateful comments like, okay, this guy is, a piece of work. He's not showing the real India, but that is real India, right? And he laughs in the face of, everything.
yeah, yeah.
That's the best thing about him, and that makes him stand out. I mean,
Correct.
everyone comes up, especially Western gaze is wide-eyed whenever it comes to the East, not just in India, Russia, Southeast Asia. They're like very scared to say the wrong thing. But he's like, if there is a lake, he's going to jump in. If there is a train, he's going to ride it, you know, ride the roof of it. I
I
mean,
love
that
the
guy is
references.
amazing.
Yeah, yeah. No, absolutely. I completely and wholeheartedly agree with you, because people, it can be polarizing. It can be very difficult to watch. Oh my God, how is this person saying all of these truths? I think these were truths that everybody knew, but nobody wanted to speak about. But here we have Mr. Benjamin Rich, I also discovered him, of course, on YouTube. I think about a couple of years ago through his entire India series. But his story, Shubham, for me, I think deserves a mention, right? Because this man actually, he's from the UK, right? He's a proper Brit in that sense. He actually went bankrupt, right? And because
Yeah.
of his some venture, the venture failed. But of course, even if you're bankrupt, I guess in the UK, you still have some money to explore the world because of the currency difference and whatnot. So he travels to India and completely falls in love with it, learns Hindi, travels to Russia as well, and just starts filming his journeys, right? Filming very, very lo fi, not too much of production. And till date, if you see, and this is what's remarkable, Shubham, about his style for me, is that his videos are extremely lo fi. There is no montage, there is no fancy edit, there's not too much of music. It's just the man,
Yeah.
the camera, the
Yeah.
settings, and just him on his journey. So I think that for me, accepting that lo-fi thing which started when he was bankrupt, when he was actually bankrupt, now I'm sure he's not.
Yeah.
And then of course he's released a couple of books also in between with a pseudonym Arthur Chichester. He's traveled the world with this lo-fi aesthetic. But I want to understand from you, like, do you like his aesthetic? Do you like the style? What's it like for you?
So, speaking of aesthetics, I thought he was Russian initially because he has that vibe, and I guess I immediately watched a Russia video
Yeah,
on his channel. So I thought he was Russian because he's speaking flawless, Russian, and he was not in any city. He was in a village
sure.
speaking with villagers. And he has that persona because he doesn't look at anything like a Briton, right?
Correct, correct, correct.
So tall and speaking Russian, Hindi. So aesthetic I really like. It's very, as you mentioned, lo-fi and nothing fancy. Doesn't even go to fancy places, and he's always interested in having fun. He's not like, oh, let me make this video very beautiful or make it very interesting. That guy himself is very interesting,
Correct.
right? And he knows that. So he his everyday interactions, like if you remember, he was in India, is going through an alleyway, and somebody shakes his hand and says, "Come rule us again." I mean, these kind of things only happen when you are not very travel kind of person, right? Like you look like a traveler, right?
Sure.
There are vloggers who look like travelers. There are vloggers who don't, and he
Correct.
doesn't look like a traveler in any place.
Correct.
Even if he's in Bangladesh, he looks like a person who knows basic humanity and knows how to interact with people. Nobody can take advantage of him. We
Yeah.
see vloggers giving, let's say, for a 20 rupee rickshaw ride, they will be paying 200. He knows shit, man. He will not give in, right? So I like his aesthetics. He keeps it
Yeah.
real and nothing fancy. Yeah.
Correct. Correct. No, I think that's a very good depiction of him because keeping it real, I think, is a big part of his personality. It's something that he's imbibed and something that he's not changed, right? Because if you think about it, Shubham, as you grow, as you scale, I'm sure there's this, and this is again a very interesting advice for creators as well, and not something that every creator should follow, but I think it shows that this is also possible. That as you scale, as you know, more and more people join you on your journey, appreciate your content, you naturally think that, oh, my content also has to grow in that sense. Okay, my cameras should get better, my audio quality should get better. But this man is so focused on the content, right? He doesn't care about gear. You won't find him doing drone
Yeah.
shots, right? Like the moment you think of travel, you
Nothing.
think of, like, oh, there's going to be a drone now, and there's going to be the drone will follow this man. No, no, no. It's just this man. The camera is his tool. It's his weapon, right? Like the one that he holds, and that is basically the lens to the world, right? And if you look at the comment section, I think a great way to explore Ball's videos is also to look at the comment section, because people see that I feel seen. My village, my town feels seen because nobody talks about this in the mainstream media, obviously. And even on YouTube, even on the mainstream YouTube travel vloggers, as you mentioned, even though they don't seem to, to capture that. So
Yeah.
when people see that representation, when people see this man walking through the streets of Peru, or walking through alleyways, as you mentioned, or even in some Russian village, and when once people see that, I think it's a great feeling for them. And I love this quote, which I think fits perfectly with Bald. Is life is what happens while you're busy making other plans. I think that is what
Mhm. Wow.
our man captures, right? Because this is the life that we see. It's unfiltered, it's real, and it's
Yep.
super hella entertaining.
Yeah, and see, the content you create when you're being authentic is timeless,
Yeah.
and people inherently, like, authentic content. It's like he's polar opposite of Jabi Kowe,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and we have done a create
We
a deep
have
dive on him as well.
link is here. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what? After some point, you get tired of hearing only good stuff, because we all live in a real world. We know, like every other country, India or Russia or Peru or any, even America has issues, right?
Sure.
So it's interesting to see how a Westerner is looking at those things,
Yeah.
and again, it's all about being authentic. And I think that his viewership also cuts across the age groups.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've seen women watching his videos, I've seen kids watching his videos, I've seen, of course, the young males between 18 to 35 are anyway a bigger group on YouTube.
Yep. Yep.
So I think he has a wider audience as well,
Yep.
and not just in one culture, because sometimes vloggers tend to focus on just one country or one culture, because
Yeah.
they fall
That's
in
where
love, either fall in love or
yeah.
know about it.
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
because just a couple of days back I was speaking with Scott Carney, so investigative journalist. So he has traveled extensively in India and Europe and not anywhere else. And
Mm.
this pattern is with many, travelers. I'm not talking about travel writers of yore, because they were, actually very good professionals.
Sure.
But this guy can go anywhere, speak their language. He's a polyglot.
Yeah. He
How
is. He's a.
long does it take him to understand,
I
learn a
don't know.
language? That's so impressive.
It's so impressive and it's so bizarre that this man just picks up he can pick up phrases, he can pick up local dialects and phrases that people are like, oh, but this is something that is not in any dictionary. You won't find it. Like, you won't find how in India we say like an array. Like, you don't think
Yeah.
about the array doesn't really have a but he does that, right? Like, he knows how
Yeah.
to give the nuance in the language.
Yep.
And if you look at his thumbnails, Shubham, if you come to his video standpoint, right? Thumbnails are very basic. Nothing. It's just a screen grab from the video. Titles are
Yeah.
just titles. Obviously, very interesting. Ki, oh, I did this. I caught this. Don't fall for this man, which is also a crazy
Yeah.
video in India and a few other countries as well. So very basic with that. But he also has a second channel, Shubham, which is interesting to me because it's called Daily Bald. I thought it would be like a daily
Okay.
vlog where he does shorter videos, but he's actually not been very popular with that. He's not been very regular with that. So that, I think, is a bit of a failed experiment, if I'm being honest. But finally, I also want to speak about some of his controversies. And my question that I'm going to pose to you, Shubham, is that do you
Yeah.
think sometimes Mr. Benjamin Rich or Bald can go too far? Do you think that's a possibility or that does happen?
I don't care about his controversies, man.
Yeah,
I mean, the he did a narration when he visited, what some McLeodgun, something like that, in Uttarakhand, and he talked about Indian police women, and that was poetry, man. I mean, the way, it depends the way you look at it.
sure,
It was very well written,
sure.
and whatever he said, you can, I mean, I don't disagree with the protest against that video or discomfort around that video, but I like it because somehow internet has made us very uptight about
Hmm,
things, right?
sure,
And I'm not talking about his controversy related to what he did in the 90s, the money he owes
sure,
to some
sure.
certain people in US. That's like long gone. But his new controversy, right? When he was in Russia, he called Russian women something
Yeah,
chick, I guess,
yeah,
chicks
chicks.
and all. What's wrong with that, man? I mean, we hear this word in every next film, every next English film, or any kind of local culture. I think we've become very uptight, and this guy is, of course, fearless. He can use anything. I see him getting embroiled in more and more controversies like these,
Yeah, yeah,
and I don't care. I
yeah.
mean, to me, that's not crossing the limit. What do you think?
Sure. No, I'm actually extremely happy that there's this man who uh, goes beyond, who cuts through the boundaries of whatever we've created, right? This entire image that we've created in our heads about the internet, about people, about culture. Here's this man who goes and does whatever he feels like. And I think we need more voices like Bald. I really feel that what he's doing, like, be it with the whole, he is not just seeing the world, but he's also being the world. Like I think that
Yeah,
is
nice
that
one.
that is that is very powerful, because he can go to a place and he can actually become a part of that and show you the underbellies of it, without even caricature, making it into a caricature, and just
Yeah.
being that whole western gaze that you spoke about. He's also very respectful, I think, because he understands what the culture is all about, which I think that getting that nuance is very interesting. So I think he has the ability to speak about real issues with nuance, which I think other people can't do. But it's very fascinating. I wanted to do more videos. He does long form videos, like I've seen, as a viewing habit, I have seen him do 1 hour videos, and I can watch it. I can watch it while
Yeah,
I'm eating,
totally.
while before I'm going to
Yeah.
sleep. So I can do that. So I'm completely in for his entire thing. But my question to you, and my final question actually, Shubham, is where does a man bald go from here? You can talk to me in terms of content, or actually the places that he can go to. Of course, it's a long running joke on Creator Deep Dive that people should go to Mars, because that's another world to explore. But where do you think, how can should you, if you were bored, let's say, perhaps have short form content, perhaps do a podcast, perhaps do live streams? What would you do? What would your entire personality be?
I think I think you should go to countries that are very hard to travel.
Hmm.
Like go to Pakistan. I would
Hmm.
love to see his series. Go to Afghanistan, meet Talibanis, crack
Yeah.
jokes with them.
Yeah.
Let's see how
Yeah.
it goes.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, go to the places where there are people. Not go to
Hmm.
places like Antarctica to show us the landscape that we
Sure.
can see on Discovery Channel or
Correct. Correct.
Netflix. So meet more people, have fun, meet more and more controversial people. I think he met a Russian mafia in Russia, had some drinks with him.
Yeah.
He'll end up in jail couple of times probably more in the near future, but that's fine. I mean, he's not committing some grave crime. And yeah, I mean, go to South America and meet these very interesting people, personalities, and yeah, again, keep it real as he's been doing it.
Yeah.
So
No, I think I can completely sort of see that, Shubham, like when he's exploring more places. One such place I think is Africa, right? I
oh
think
yeah,
Africa is a underrated, underrepresented continent as well, which is not seen too much on YouTube. So I definitely feel that we should definitely see more content from him in the future, right? And this can be again long form content that he does. Another piece of media that I'd love to consume from him would actually be a comic book. I'd love to read
mm,
a comic book by Benjamin Rich, by Bald and Bankrupt, because his experiences, his places, his aesthetic, if that was on a comic book, it would be a collectible. Like he is for me, he's my Tintin. He is my Tintin for
wow,
like he's my Tintin of as an adult. Tintin was also almost bald, I guess. But no, I think he's really a traveler who I really deeply admire. I
yeah,
really genuinely want to become as fearless and become as irreverent as he is. That is legit one of my things as a creator myself. I really look up to him and some of his antiques that he does. But hey, you tell us what you feel about Benjamin Rich, aka Bald and Bankrupt, in the comment section below, because we read all your comments and we really encourage you to share your thoughts around Mr. Bald and Bankrupt. Tell us probably your favorite video of his that you love consuming and that you love sharing with your friends as well. And of course, before doing all of this, if you could just hit the subscribe button, 2000 Faces Club. We have more than 10,000 subscribers now, so you can be a part of that. So just hit that
yay.
subscribe button, because we are a part of yes, little party here. But please make sure that you subscribe, because every week we come out with videos on Creator Deep Dive and so much more happening around the creator economy. This was extremely fun. I'm Shrivar,
I'm Shubham.
and we will see you next week on Creator Deep Dive with yet another creator. See you. Bye bye.